All right, good morning, y'all. Welcome to our delayed fun fact of real estate backstory every Monday, brought to you by Maximum One Realtor Partners. My name is Ming Richardson. I am the compliance broker for our firm, and my partner Alan, who typically narrates the backstory, is unable to attend today. So y'all get me. So hopefully I am doing decent of a job and hopefully still get the news out to you guys. As I was saying earlier today, that our license law, our upcoming CE license laws tomorrow, and it's only virtual. And on Wednesday, we have digital marketing for agents. There's a lunch and learn by Scott Eve in our airport office. I do suggest you to participate because Scott's got a lot of great stuff on digital marketing. And if you guys ever follow him on Facebook, you can see what he does, and he has a lot of output every week. And on Thursday, we also in our airport with Sharon, who is with Silverton Mortgage. She is doing Mortgage 101. So for those of you that have are just coming back online or is new agent, it's great to know your lender because they're your best friend in your real estate transaction. So please to join us. That is on location airport and also virtual. And on Thursday, we have a bill in CMA use Paragon, and that is strictly virtual. And on Friday is next level business plan for real estate professional, and that is as well as virtual. And just don't forget, every Monday, 11 a.m., we are hosting Brian Buffini 100 Day to Greatness training live in all partner office. And unfortunately, McDonald, today I'm going to reroute you guys to either our Conyer or Fayetteville office because our power is out at this time. And I'm actually doing this on my laptop and Wi-Fi. So please join us. So what you know, Brian Buffini's product is really great. I promise you, if you follow the guideline and you do scheduling and also hold yourself accountable. And this is also a good accountability time for you when you attend this Brian Buffini class. So this week we will be talking building a sense of community. So we'll teach you how to establish a community and how make your community come alive, because it's through that's what's making it wonderful. Okay, and as you can see, we also have the 365 coming up. Now, I will tell you, a lot of us have a hard time with our time management, and number 9 series will be a great thing for you. Okay. All right. NAR, for those of you realtors, I'm sure you have gotten notice on NAR about best practice for buyer's love letter. During this seller frenzy, seller market, a lot of buyers are sending a love letter to our seller. So just want you to know, a couple state has outlawed this practice simply because the love letter actually violates fair housing. And unfortunately, in most cases, some agents are even putting in their private remark, no seller's love letter, bottom line. So just make sure at the outset of your relationship, speak to your client about the risk of buyer's love letter and the potential fair housing issue they have. Remind your seller client that an offer can be assessed based on only objective criteria, such as price and timing. If your seller client insists they want to receive buyer love letter, I advise them to consult legal counsel and to document their decision-making process in selecting an offer. Because at the end of the day, I will tell you, there are lawsuits and cases where a ethnic group or they feel like they were age discriminated or handicap discriminated, they can sue you and your seller, and it's not a good place to be. So help avoid buyer clients draft a deliver love letter. Be sure to warn them against revealing any personal information that could raise their fair housing issue. Counseling to focus on a characteristic of the home other than the objective or other objective information, just like you listing agent. When you advertise for a piece of property, you have to make sure that you are describing the characteristic of the house, not the character that's going to live in there, such as a gourmet kitchen. Gourmet kitchen is fine when you have Viking, you have Sub-Zero or anything like that, but you can't say a gourmet chef, okay, when you describe a property, because you actually describe a person versus the objective product in the house. And lastly, help your buyer client find any other way to differentiate themselves to win the property. Beyond offering more money, the buyer may consider offering more flexibility with a closing date, additional earnest money, or like an option money, or waive other contingency that may appeal to the seller. So these are acceptable items, but the others, when you talk about characteristics, about your daughters, your kids, what have you, your dogs, you can't do that, okay? All right. And also just want to bring you up to date. Freddie Mac, currently the interest rate is still holding below 3%. It's right now 2.86%. But just want to let you know what's going on in the market. Right now, last week, overall mortgage application were down 4% from previous week. Now we're talking about week from week, okay? Purchase application fell 2% for the week and were 19% lower than a year ago. So this kind of raised a little bit concern, and also I believe it's because of the fact that some buyers are feeling a little worn out from rejection of offers. All right, so low rates are not here forever, you guys. Okay, if you can see, whoops, hang on. I was trying to move the little screen. There we go. So minutes from release from last month's Fed meeting show a willingness to start reducing asset purchase. What that means is that they're going to reduce the bond purchase before the end of the year, which can push mortgage rate higher. So please tell your buyer, don't be discouraged. And we're actually seeing more inventory level coming up online. And let me tell you a couple other things that's going on as well. If you think about our GPD, gross product, our national gross product growth has been continuing increasing lately. And so that means there's more demand job. I'm sure all of you have experienced when you go to a restaurant that there is a decline for services, meaning that there's more open table in a restaurant. There are servers that is willing to, or server that's working. So what that means is that a lot of places are offering a really good, attractive rates. And so therefore, a lot of folks are paying a much higher wages just to get people in. So with that said, with the GPD going up and the unemployment going down, we're looking at a very healthy market when it comes to earning. So unemployment claim hits a 17-month low last week, pointing to another month of robust job growth. Continued claim also dropped to level last seen in March 2020. So we're back to pre-pandemic numbers and unemployment at this point. All right, so 25 market with biggest price jump. Just want you guys to know we're not it. So that is good, because what that means that we're leveling out to where the market's basically correcting itself. So home price has risen quickly amid the pandemic. The median sale price of single family existing home increased 99% of the 183 metro area tracked the second quarter compared to a year ago. 94% of market post double-digit price increase, according to a new report from National Association of Realtors. Inventory shortage and large influx of buyer, particularly as mortgage rates remain historic low, has driven demands and led to higher home prices. So the problem is affordability is important for continued healthy housing market. So even with the low interest rate, because the low inventory, buyer that would have in a normal pre-pandemic time, buyer that would have qualified 180 at 5% interest rate is now qualified for maybe 250 at less than 3%. So the problem is, with that said, this is what's part of the equation that's driving the pricing of the market. And we have known a lot of seller are now cashing in and moving into either the RV home. We have a great neighbor that did that, and they're going to do that for a couple of years until the market becomes a little healthier, where they basically cash out like many of your couples that have bought a year, 2 years ago. And but please make sure your client have a place, your seller has a place to go when they sell their property, because even apartment complexes are overflooded right now as well. So, and they're not always accepting folks with certain criteria or background as part of their standard procedures. Okay, so make sure your client do have a place to go, whether it's to their family, live in the basement for a year or two, what have you, but make sure they know what they're doing, okay? The new housing crisis, our first-time buyer being priced out of home ownership. So first-time home buyer aren't just losing out on the lowest mortgage rate on record, as well as some of the other perks of home ownership, such as more space for home office. In a longer term, paying rent instead of mortgage installment each month could hinder the ability to build a kind of wealth that can provide cushion against unexpected expense and to be passed on to future generation. But first, many times home buyers simply just being priced out. The dearth of home for sale have pushed median home price up annually 13%. Y'all, that's a huge inflation rate. It is hit record high $385,000 in June. According to most recent Realtor.com data, these prices don't factor in bidding war and offer over asking, which can push price much higher in many hotter real estate markets. So, and also, first-time home buyer competing with big investor. First-time buyer are now going head-to-head with a Wall Street investment firm in many cases. These big investors are often targeting the same starter home in the suburb, popular with aspiring homeowners to turn that into rental. In many cases, they're able to offer all cash and deeds residents, something most first-time home buyer aren't able to do. So you're wondering, why are the investors buying these houses up? If you think about it, if inflation rate is 13%, so annually, so what you have in a bank, I'm using a layman term, $100 in a bank today, next year is only worth $87 because inflation. Okay, so a lot of time people are investing in real estate because real estate typically grow in value. It appreciates. And not only that, with the appreciation, they're also cashing out monthly income. So, with the monthly income on investment, the return on investment is really, really good for investor. This is why investors are out buying those homes cash. Okay. So the percentage of first-time home buyers slipped to 31%, which is the lowest level in more than 30 years. So what we need to do, how the first-time home buyer can still find success, they got to be very realistic about what they can afford. First purchase maybe need to be lower price, condo versus single-family home. How much home can they afford for the budget? Make compromises. Location, condition, and latest amenities. Stay diligent, keep saving, keep an eye on the market. You just got to be aggressive about it, okay? Watch the listing and be ready to act and pounce on a property they really want. So make sure that they have the ability to do that and also react quickly when the opportunity presents itself, okay? So if you look at, again, the median age of first-time home buyer actually went up by a year. So yes, you can see back in 2008 downturn market, your first-time home buyer was around the age of 30. Now in 2020 and 2021, the average first-time home buyer is around 33. So that tells you they have a little more time to save, a little more time to decide. Yes, they're very informed and they Google a lot. So with that said, they know what's out there. They're hearing all these, what I call noise in the background half the time. And they're just going by what the industry is saying. So, just kind of advise your client, there's a lot of noise in our industry right now, but please consult your real estate agent so they can give you a little more direction in reference to what the current market is doing here and where they want to purchase. Okay. Stop trying to bounce around and advise your clients, do some due diligence up front, figure out where they want to go, and let's concentrate. And it could be that they can have flexibility between here, McDonough, to maybe Rex, to Stockbridge, to Locust Grove, whatever the location is, given the opportunity and also the hot sheet to where they can see what the value is doing in those areas. Okay. And I think that will help some of your first time home buyer. So with that said, sellers rethinking their asking as listing begin to linger. What that means is that a lot of your sellers, there we go. A lot of your seller is now not getting their asking price within first 2 weeks. And according to National Association Realtor, we all know if you price a property right in the condition it is in and the location is at, your house should be under contract within days, especially in today's market. So if your house is still on the market after 2 weeks, there's an issue with your pricing. Okay. So because the buyers is feeling like your house is not worth it. So even this ultra hot competitive market, there's a limit to what home buyer willing to pay. Some, honestly, when you price it out that far out that high, first of all, your first time home buyer can't afford it. Bottom line. Okay. So some seller are starting to see their listing linger on the market, and those seller may be facing a prospect of price cut. Realtor.com July's housing data showed that about 45 cities of the country, 300 largest, had an increased number of homes with price cuts. So in July, we have a lot of price cut. And even just with one of my recent sale, we were $20,000 below sale price. So there was compromise to be made. For buyer, these trends hold a promise of less frenzy market and for more choice and better prices. Still, home prices still rising by double-digit margin in many cities, even those posting more price cut occur even the healthiest market, housing market. So price cut could signal a turning point in the market, just so you guys know, but they may also just be a sign of selling, get ahead of buyer in pricing. So there seem to be more, some market where a local custom to price real estate that way. So it just depends on your area. On a national average, some of your listings are beginning to linger. Just want to let you guys know. In Atlanta market, we are probably going to be one of those. Okay. I do know that a lot of agents like to do like open house this weekend, and we're not accepting offers until Monday, or we're not making a decision until Monday of the following weekend. And while I seen in the past, and with one of my listing, I thought the same thing. And then we have about, I want to say about 12 showing. Out of 12 showing, I have one offer. So that tells me that we were priced way too high, which we anticipated. But the seller insists on listing it high and dropping the price, knowing that they could drop the price. Okay. So housing market updates, 5% of home seller dropped their price in recent weeks. So just want you to know, there is a good chance that, even though a lot of sellers hearing all these noises, when you have a seller consultation, make sure you let them know what's going on, because the last thing you want to do is make them feel like either you're incompetent or you don't know what you're talking about. And seller may not like what they hear half the time. Okay. And so, but you gotta be honest with them. So, but at the end of the day, it is their money, it is their property. And if you've given the consultation, like to know, hey, listen, at this price, we can potentially outprice ourselves. And therefore, your house is not going to move. If we don't move in 2 weeks, we may want to think about lowering your price unless they're not in a hurry. And I will tell you, if the property stays in market too long, and this market right now, buyers going to wonder what is wrong with the property. Okay. All right. Bidding war. I just want to give you guys a little update. Bidding war has dipped. And if y'all remember, probably March and April is probably one of the highest bidding war issue. And now in July, and even at the end of June, you can see the downward trend of where bidding war is. So hopefully you can share the slide to your client and let them know what's going on as well. And let listing agent, this is a good slide for you to present to your client. And this is based on true data, okay? When is the seller market bad for sellers, y'all? Y'all never thought about that, did you? So home seller have a right to feel optimistic, even bullish about selling home today because the demand is sky high. And with a record low level home for sale, Quartz Eagle Beaver buyer will do just about anything to get their hands on your place. Is that always good? When they say that, I have seen offer come through with a season pass ticket to a particular sport event as incentive to a seller. So what is the market? Is it market always good for this instance? So home buyer waiving home inspection. The problem with that is buyer will back out. Okay. And then rather than getting a really true qualified buyers, okay, you're getting buyers that is basically shopping around the market and backing out. Okay. Buyer didn't discover the issue until after closing, which can start a lawsuit. It is Georgia law that seller has to disclose latent defects. And when they don't disclose latent defects, guess what? This is a lawsuit that a lot of people don't want to deal with. And yes, it costs both parties, a lot of money. I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you right now, if a latent defect was not disclosed upon selling a property, the buyer has every right to sue the seller in the court. Okay. So seller as is no disclosure. So once again, this is a potential for lawsuit. So even if they have never lived in a property or they're investor, there's a new form that describes, no knowledge of latent defects. So I will highly suggest you to use it with your seller. Home buyer waiving appraisal contingency. A lot of time, the spread appraisal contingency is more than what the buyer is able to do. Not only that, after they get appraisal back, they feel like $20,000 gap. What have I done? So you have created buyer remorse, and now you have put your house off the market for about 20 days on the average, and buyer backing out and let the earnest money go. Because for them, $20,000 gap is it is a hardship for them even to come up with any of it. So at the end of the day, they're just letting their earnest money go and restart. Racing to close, are seller ready to find place and move? So that's another issue where a seller, they think they put a house on the market, they're going to make all this money. It shouldn't be any problem for them renting an apartment, pay 1 year in advance. Guess what? Some apartment complexes are not accepting a 1 year advance payment. Okay, so if a seller has any blemishes or any issues in their credit report, they might want to think twice about that, just so you know. All right, let's talk about new construction. We all know lumber price went crazy a couple months ago, and it has finally come down to where it's reasonable. Gypsum is basically sheetrock. Okay, so if you look at it, the sheetrock has risen in cost by 2.5. percent in July. So just want to let you know what new construction is doing right now. Steel price, look at that huge jump, 10.8%. That is a huge jump in July. All right, ready mix concrete. So it is jumped on 299.6 points in July. So if you want to know why new construction is going crazy and even some of the builder are started slowing down and some of the new construction, it's because they know, and you can see this slide, the lumber prices did cool down back to almost, it looks like a January pricing. So whereas May and April, it went crazy. So it did decrease by 29%. So back to new construction. So if you're wondering why new construction is cooling off a little bit, it's simply because they know with these high price and just in raw material alone, there's no way they can build a product that is sellable to your first time home buyer market, even with today's interest rate. So rather than pricing themselves out of the market, some of the new construction are just cooling off, okay? Because at the end of the day, if you look at what is your seller, let's say your seller is buying a new construction. What is your seller giving up in order to move this new construction? Is it equivalent to what they have right now, but at a much higher price just because it's new? So you got to see, you understand where some of the seller hesitancy in selling. All right, building her, here is overall, the index, the price point rose 135.2%. And you can see where the pandemic started right here. And you can see the steady increase and the huge jump after March. All right. So U.S. home builder confidence fall to 13-month low in August. So U.S. home builder confidence market for single family home fell in August due to the lowest reading in 13 months, y'all. It's driven by higher construction costs and supply shortage, and it was released on Tuesday. The National Association of Home Builder Wells Fargo Housing Market Index declined 5 points to a reading of 75 this month. It is the lowest level since July 2020 from 80 in July. Economists polled by Router had expecting the index to remain unchanged from the month prior. A reading above 50 means more home builder view market condition as favorable than poor. The index that had all-time high of 90 was 90 in November 2020. So as you can see, the confidence falls. All right, summer spike, single home. All right, we talked about buying home. All right, normally rental follows behind home sales. So as you can see, back in 2020, what I could have charged for rent versus what I can charge for rent today. Matter of fact, one of my dad's property, we actually were able to increase the rent by $600. It's not because we're gouging anybody, but if you think about it, the value of that home has spiked. So if someone was to purchase that property, that is equivalent to what their monthly mortgage rate is. We didn't charge a whole lot of premium because not only that, our taxes has gone up to where it's about 1.5 months worth of rent. So understand the spike is due to increase of the home value along with taxes and insurance. So, but look at the huge, huge spike. And believe it or not, it's a higher tier that experienced the highest increase. All right. Rental house outpaces apartments. So you can see single family detached, how much it has increased versus your apartment. And the reason being, they're one, a lot of people that are living in an apartment are staying. They're not moving because they know that they can't afford to go out to a home that they have to maintain a yard, maintain utilities, maintain a lot of stuff sometimes the apartment provides. And not only that, they don't have to maintain the repairs, because with apartments, sometimes they are, all they have to do is call the apartment complex and get certain thing repaired. And with single home family, a lot of your single home landlord may or may not keep the property maintained. So you can see, but unfortunately, there's just that much more demand right now for single family home versus apartment. All right. Atlanta has some of the highest rental rate increase in the United States, y'all. So you can see, and they base off Sandy Spring, of course. Median rent price is $16.19, and that's not unusual. Right now in Henry County, I do know for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, probably a $1,500-1,600 home is renting about $1,800 to $1,900. So the rental rates are going up right now. Is it cheaper to rent or own? Look at the gap. There's about $535 gap between owning a property versus renting. Okay. And this is where wealth creation is coming from, y'all. When you buy your home, you'll create more wealth than spending. You could have saved that $535 a month, and over years, that's quite a bit of money in savings. So wealth comparison between a renter and a homeowner. As you can see, in 2016, average renter has about $5,300 in their equity. 63 in 2019, that's 3 years later. And 3 more years later, they have $8,000. But if you look at a home buyer who has a $246,000 home, has increased to $255 and $297. So if you look at that, is $51,000 increase. This is why home ownership is much more desirable than rentals. It really, truly is not a good idea to wait, y'all. Okay. So if you look at owners and renter, percentage of home income of home buyer and renter should expect to pay for monthly housing expenses. So homeowner, 23%, renters by the end of this year, 30%. Okay, 30.2. So it's going to go up just because the rent has increased. All right, 2020 census, Georgia has grown about 1 million people, y'all. So Georgia's 10th largest city, Atlanta being one. Believe it or not, Columbus coming in second, with Augusta following behind, Macon being the 4th, and Savannah being the 5th. And you can see Athens, Sandy Springs, South Fulton, Roswell, and Johns Creek. So what we're seeing, during COVID time, a lot of people were moving out from the city to the urban, to the rural area, from the urban to rural. And now we actually see a little increase of back to urban, simply because some of the employer are requiring the employee to return to the office versus working from home at this point. So next month, GAR is moving to a text message platform. So for Georgia realtors, if you want to get any updates from GAR, please text GA Realtors to 866-280-0576 to opt into the new platform. GAR does come up with a lot of notices every month, any changes, any law or any guideline that will change how our industry is behaving, or can change the behavior of a buyer or the cost or anything like that. So I highly encourage you to opt in on Georgia Realtors at 866-280-0576. And another interesting, lawmaker asking Federal Trade Commission to investigate Zillow. Okay, and the reason being is that Zillow is making an acquisition to Showing Time. Okay, so let me just read this little blurb. Lawmaker urging FTC to investigate potential antitrust violation of Zillow Group and a $500 million acquisition of Showing Time. is a scheduling platform a lot of us use, okay? So Zillow Group have made several acquisitions over recent years that's expanded to operate as a broker. When they first told us, oh no, we're not going to get into the brokerage. In February, it announced plan to purchase Showing Time, which it says will remain an open platform. We all know they love to offer you things for free, but somebody's paying for it. Just like we're paid for referral on Zillow on a database that we provide. The acquisition is still pending. In their letter to the FTC, the lawmaker says they believe the acquisition can further entrench Zillow consumer information advantage to the detriment of homebuyer and their competitor. This letter also referred to Zillow's estimate alleged it could be unduly influenced, okay, homeowner who may be trying to sell their home. The effect of Zillow acquisition appeared to be that it can effectively tell the homeowner that their home, what their home is worth, buy the home from the home seller, and for that amount, and then turn around and immediately sell the property for a higher price. How many times have y'all, if y'all don't believe me, I've actually done this once before within the last couple of months. I basically asked Zillow how much my home is worth. They'll give me a value. And then next thing I know, when it's prior to going to hit market, it's reduced. The value has been reduced. Okay. Y'all test the theory out, but I think it's interesting. So because we were so late today in the our backstory, I do apologize. Our transformer was knocked out, so it knocked all the powers and Wi-Fi out. So I'm doing this with my laptop and my hotspot. So hopefully you guys have received the information you need, and apologize for the inconvenience. But as always, you can always check us out online in YouTube, as well as Facebook anytime. If y'all need anything, please holler, smoke string, as I don't love to say it. And we thank you so much for watching our channel, and we'll see you next week, and have a great, great Monday. Thank y'all.